Welcome, gentle listener, to Sleepy Facts, a calm corner of the cosmos where curiosity rests beside stillness and learning drifts at the pace of breath. Let your shoulders drop, let the day loosen around you, and let thought itself move like a slow tide pulling away from shore. Tonight, we travel beyond the blue hush of our skies, past the tender light of Mars, past the quiet stones of the asteroid belt, toward a golden lantern, turning patiently in the dark. This is Jupiter, ancient heart of storms, keeper of rhythm and gravity, firstborn child of the sun. Around it, the solar system seems to hum, as though every orbit keeps time to its turning. From afar, it gleams in cream and bronze, its colors swirling like smoke caught in light. But up close, every hue is alive. The pale zones are clouds of ammonia, ice-chilled so high they kiss the edge of space. The darker belts are deeper rivers of warm gas, rising and falling in endless exchange. What looks serene from a telescope's eye is a vast ocean of air moving in opposite directions, layer upon layer, an atmosphere without shore. Within those bands, light and chemistry weave quiet miracles. Ammonia, hydrogen, and sunlight combine to paint the planet's face ochre and white, rust and gold. Each tone shifts gently like breath-changing color. Every cloud is born, stretched, dissolved, replaced by another, so that Jupiter is never the same twice. And there, turning slowly in the southern hemisphere, the great red spot endures a storm larger than our world, older than any memory. Its winds circle faster than sound, yet its center remains calm, a vast eye watching the ages pass. Through centuries, its hue has faded and deepened, crimson, rose, coral, peach, as if even storms tire and learn to rest. The giant's day is brief, just 10 hours from dawn to dawn. Its speed flattens the poles and widens the waste, stretching cloud bands around its middle like silk pulled by invisible hands. Each stripe moves in its own direction, each wind balanced against the next. In that balance lies harmony, not chaos. Beneath the swirling clouds, pressure builds until hydrogen becomes liquid and deeper, still metallic, a glowing ocean of silver that conducts electricity like thought. From that metallic sea rises a magnetic field so vast it envelops millions of kilometers of space, turning solar wind into music. The result is unseen, but not unfelt, a halo of magnetism that hums across the solar system. At the poles, the field meets the charged breath of the sun and births auroras that never fade. They burn in violet and blue fire, invisible to human eyes, yet eternal. They are the planet's crown rings of light, woven from silence. Even from Earth, Jupiter shines like a steady lantern. When you find it in the night sky, you are seeing sunlight reflected from clouds so high, so cold, that they have never known a surface below. That light has crossed nearly an hour of emptiness to reach your eyes. It is the light of distance made gentle, the light of something vast choosing to glow softly. To the ancients, it was Zeus Jove, the father of thunder and order. But tonight, we meet it not as a god, but as presence, ancient, rhythmic, a giant that hums between stars. Its gravity guards the fragile inner worlds, deflecting comets, shaping harmony from motion. It is both the storm and the stillness beyond it. Close your eyes and imagine drifting above those clouds. Lightning flashes beneath you, veins of white fire branching silently through miles of vapor. Ammonia crystals swirl upward like slow snow melting into vapor before they ever fall. Below, heat breathes outward from the hidden core, warming the wind. Above, sunlight scatters in a haze of gold. You hover between fire and frost, between day and night. There is no edge here, no ground, no ceiling, only the great slow breath of Jupiter. It moves like the tide of time itself, unhurried, unending. Every storm, every calm layer, every particle of dust and light is part of the same eternal motion. A planet dreaming itself into being again and again with every turn. Deeper still beneath the clouds and thunder lies a world of pressure and transformation. Here, hydrogen forgets what it once was. Under forces 1,000,000 times greater than Earth's sky, it becomes a shimmering liquid, dense and alive. The deeper one goes, the stranger the silence grows, not empty, but full of unseen motion. Scientists believe Jupiter has a heart, perhaps not solid like ours, but blurred and vast. A region where rock, ice, and metal dissolve into the same molten dream. Gravity presses everything inward, while heat pushes outward, and between those opposites, the planet breathes in balance. This is where magnetism is born. From the currents of metallic hydrogen rise invisible lines of power that stretch far into space. They twist with solar wind and shape the space around Jupiter into a glowing cocoon of force. Even the sun feels its touch, a gentle tug, a reminder that even the great star is not alone in motion. Within this magnetic cocoon dance, hundreds of fragments of worlds, tiny moons, dust rings made of shattered stone. They circle the giant like quiet companions, each moving to a rhythm set long before light reached them. The main ring glows faintly, a thin halo of ground-up moons and captured dust. Most of the particles are no larger than a grain of sand, yet together they shimmer like frost under the faint reflection of sunlight. Beyond those delicate rings move Jupiter's many moons, 79 worlds each with its own story, each locked in the gravity of the Great One. Among them are 4 that stand apart: the Galilean moons, first seen by Galileo through trembling glass in 1610. He could not have known then that what he saw were worlds of their own, each a mirror for a part of Jupiter's heart. The innermost is Io, a world forever aflame. Its surface is carved by hundreds of volcanoes, erupting not from fire as on Earth, but from tides of molten rock stirred by Jupiter's immense pull. Gravity stretches Io with every orbit, heating it from within until it glows like an ember under ash. Sulfur paints its plains yellow and red, and plumes of vapor rise like incense into space. To look at Io is to see a planet forever remade, born broken, reborn, its mountains taller than Everest, its heart restless as a wave. Just beyond Io drifts Europa, smooth, pale, and silent. Its surface gleams like cracked porcelain, etched with lines that run for thousands of kilometers. Those dark streaks, like veins beneath ice, mark where the crust splits and warmer water from below seeps upward, refreezing in delicate ribbons of blue. Beneath that frozen shell, there lies an ocean deeper than Earth's own, kept liquid by the same tidal pull that tortures Io's fiery mantle. In that hidden sea, where warmth and minerals rise from the rocky floor, life could stir in darkness, small, patient, and unseen. Europa is more than a moon. It is a promise, a reminder that even in the coldest silence, motion can give birth to warmth. Its ocean reflects no sunlight, but within its depths may drift the first sparks of something waiting to wake. Farther still spins Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, larger even than Mercury. Its body, a mixture of rock and ice, its spirit heavy with gravity. Deep below its frozen crust rests an ocean vast beyond imagining, layered with salts and pressure, stretching farther than any sea we know. And within that depth lies something rare, a magnetic field of its own. It hums softly against Jupiter's greater magnet, a whisper within a chorus. Auroras shimmer in its thin sky, wobbling as the two fields intertwine, a dance of invisible light. Scientists wonder how a moon so small keeps its heart alive. Perhaps its core still stirs with motion, its iron still warm, its tides still shaping its fate. Perhaps it is Jupiter's embrace itself that keeps the inner fire breathing. Whatever the truth, Ganymede remains a mystery that hums. And then, at the edge of the system, there is Callisto, old, quiet, untroubled. Its surface is ancient and cratered, a memory carved in ice and stone. No volcanoes rise there. No tectonic plates move beneath. It simply endures, a witness to time. Each crater is a circle within a circle, as if the moon has been struck again and again by the slow rain of history. Beneath that battered crust, there may still be an ocean sealed away in silence, a remnant of youth sleeping beneath 1 billion years of calm. Callisto is still but not lifeless. It glows faintly with reflected light, its eyes catching whispers from the sun. If humans ever build homes beyond Earth, it may be on Callisto, a place of safety, beyond Jupiter's storms, quiet, stable, and full of water. Together, these moons form a family, each born from the same disk of dust and gas, each shaped by the same gravity that binds them still. They are Jupiter's memories, each one holding a piece of its story. From Io's fire to Callisto's calm, they reveal the spectrum of existence, from chaos to peace, from creation to rest. And around them, all the great planet turns its storms, rolling like thought, its magnetosphere humming like breath. It does not sleep, but it dreams, and we listening from afar can almost hear it. Around Jupiter, light and darkness are not opposites, they mingle. Here, shadow has texture. Here, even radiation glows. Jupiter's magnetic field, born from its hidden metallic ocean, stretches millions of kilometers into space, a veil of invisible strength that shelters and sculpts. Within it, particles race and spin, trapped in ribbons of charged light, tracing loops that encircle the planet like ghostly rings. This field is 14 times stronger than Earth's, and yet it hums, not roars. It shapes the sky of Jupiter's moons, protecting them from solar winds while bathing them in soft, dangerous light. Every particle that touches it sings a small electric note, a whisper of energy that no ear can hear. Through this magnetic sea, the spacecraft Juno now drifts, a small, silent pilgrim orbiting a giant god of storms. Launched from Earth in 2011, it traveled 5 long years across the dark, until one July night, it fell into the planet's pull like a leaf into a tide. Now it circles the poles in long looping arcs, 53 days to complete each orbit, brushing only 4,000 kilometers above the cloud tops at its closest point. Every pass, Juno listens. Its instruments feel the gravity, taste the radiation, and read the color of storms through wavelengths that human eyes will never see. It senses heat leaking from the planet's deep core, maps winds that plunge 3,000 kilometers down, and reveals that Jupiter's heart is not solid, but soft, diffused, like a thought that never finishes forming. Juno has shown us a Jupiter few imagined, one with poles unlike anything seen before, where the equator glows in stripes. The poles swirl with clusters of storms, each a vast cyclone, some larger than continents, spinning in slow constellations around the center. At the South Pole, 5 great storms move endlessly around a central vortex, while the North holds 8 locked together in a dance that has lasted for years, perhaps for centuries. Each storm has its own voice, its own heartbeat. Juno's sensors feel their rhythm, translating turbulence into song, a low rolling vibration like the breathing of the planet itself. The great red spot too has revealed new secrets. Long thought to be shallow, it reaches deep hundreds of kilometers into the planet's flesh. At its center, the air is warmer, the color more faded, the winds slower, as if the storm itself was slowly resting. It has shrunk over centuries, its edges folding inward like a great sigh. Still, it persists, a memory written in motion. Through Juno's eyes, we also see light in the darkness, not sunlight, but lightning. Flashes that pierce the clouds, illuminating storms larger than Earth for a single breath of time. Yet these bolts are not made of water vapor alone. They are born in storms of ammonia and ice, where the cold is so deep that only a strange mixture of water and antifreeze can form droplets. These storms hurl up mush balls, hailstones of ammonia and snow that fall through miles of cloud, melting, freezing, and melting again. Each one is a miniature world of chaos and calm, falling through an atmosphere that never sees ground. Above those clouds, auroras bloom, ribbons of violet and blue, curling around the poles in endless twilight. They shine with the power of 100 trillion watts, brighter than any northern light on Earth. And they never fade, even when sunlight is gone. Sometimes, through Juno's infrared gaze, they shimmer like moving fire tracing where invisible currents meet the atmosphere. Each spark marks a connection, a bridge of magnetism stretching from Jupiter to one of its moons. Io, with its volcanoes and sulfur clouds, creates a river of charged particles that flows directly into Jupiter's poles. This connection, called the Io flux tube, generates electric currents of millions of amps, enough to light 1,000 worlds. And wherever that current strikes the planet's upper air, a bright footprint of light appears in the aurora, a shining mark of the moon's presence. Europa and Ganymede leave their own marks, too faint but distinct, tiny echoes of their dance with the giant. Even in the silence of space, Jupiter and its moons remain in dialogue, their conversation written in light. Juno listens to all of it, the hum of magnetic fields, the whisper of radiation, the slow pulse of gravity. It feels how the magnetosphere shifts and sways, changing over time, as though Jupiter's heart itself were breathing differently with every century. Even the planet's magnetic voice seems to evolve. The great blue spot, a region of intense magnetism, has begun to drift its edges, moving faster than scientists expected. Nothing on Jupiter stands still. Its winds, its storms, its fields of force, all move as one unbroken current. To watch it is to watch motion itself made visible. And yet, in all that violence, there is grace. Each band, each vortex, each flash of lightning and thread of aurora is part of the same serene pattern, an orchestra without beginning or end. Jupiter is chaos that has learned to sing. It is the sound of the universe remembering rhythm. In the soft glow of infrared, Jupiter reveals another self, one that human eyes were never meant to see. Where visible light shows color and cloud, infrared unveils heat and depth, the warm exhalations of a living giant. Through Juno's instruments, scientists can watch heat rising from the deep interior, spilling upward through layers of gas and crystal mist. It moves in waves, shimmering through the ammonia clouds like fire seen through fog. When viewed in infrared, the planet is striped not by color but by temperature. The darker belts, cooler and thicker with clouds, alternate with glowing bands of warmth, where heat escapes more freely. Storms appear as dark holes, not because they are cold, but because they pierce the cloud tops and open windows into the depths below. Even the great red spot becomes a deep well of shadow, a vortex of heat spiraling downward, a slow exhale from the planet's inner sea. At Jupiter's poles, infrared eyes see something stranger still. Immense hurricanes, each 1,000 kilometers wide, twisting around a central storm that never sleeps. The north holds 9 of these great vortices, arranged like petals around a single bloom. Each one emits its own warmth. Each one turns in harmony with its neighbors. And though they rage for centuries, their edges touch without tearing. It is as if the planet itself practices patience. From above, they look like flowers in a cosmic frost, blossoms of motion, each petal turning slower than thought. Even here, where the wind howls at hundreds of kilometers per hour, there is order, a quiet spiral beneath the roar. The laws of physics cradle the chaos, guiding it into grace. Elsewhere, the planet's storms gather and dissolve in endless cycles of creation. Tiny white clouds rise like foam from the deep layers, drifting, merging, forming ribbons that stretch for thousands of kilometers. Some collide their boundaries, erupting into turbulence, bright storms that glow even in shadow. Others fade, sinking again into the lower atmosphere, returning to the quiet from which they came. To watch Jupiter in motion is to watch a sea dreaming itself into shapes. Juno's instruments trace the chemistry that gives these dreams their color. Ammonia, methane, hydrogen, and unknown compounds, the chromophores, rise from the deep. They meet sunlight, and the light changes them burning pigments into the clouds. The longer they linger in the upper atmosphere, the darker they become, aged by radiation, tinted by time. Each color is a memory of exposure, a diary of sunlight written in gas. And so Jupiter wears its past in shifting shades: ochre, ivory, brick, and rose. The face we see tonight is not the one it showed a century ago, nor the one it will show tomorrow. Even the great red spot has paled with time, its crimson fading to a softer coral, as if exhaustion has finally touched the eternal storm. Beneath the color, beneath the motion, lies the rhythm of the planet's rotation, 10 hours from sunrise to sunrise. Such speed on so vast a world stretches it into an oblate sphere. The poles pressed inward, the equator bulging outward like breath held in. Winds near the equator move in opposite directions, racing along invisible belts, each carving its own path in the upper atmosphere. Yet they balance one another perfectly, the eastward and westward flows intertwining like two halves of a slow pulse. As Juno glides above these bands, it measures how deep they go, how far the surface motions extend into the unseen. And the answer is astonishing. The winds reach thousands of kilometers down, blending into the metallic hydrogen sea that forms Jupiter's hidden interior. There is no surface to stop them, no ground to rest upon. Here, movement has no ending. Deeper still, the gas thickens to liquid and then to something stranger, a metallic ocean of hydrogen so dense that it can carry electricity. This ocean churns and flows in currents vast beyond comprehension, creating the planet's magnetic field. It is a dynamo of slow fire, a conductor without wire or flame. Within it, pressure crushes atoms into new forms, and light itself begins to behave differently. We cannot see it, but we can feel its effect, the way it holds moons in orbit, the way it bends solar wind, the way it hums through space like a heartbeat made of magnetism. At the core, scientists believe the boundary between matter and energy blurs. There may be a center, a core of rock and metal, but it is fuzzy, diffused into the liquid hydrogen above it, half solid, half dream. It is less a heart and more a memory of one. The deeper Juno looks, the more Jupiter seems less like a planet and more like a living thought, a process, a continuous act of becoming. It is made not of land or water, but of motion and balance. Every layer influences the next, and every turn of its rotation feeds the rhythm that defines it. Above all this, in the upper reaches of the atmosphere, snow may fall. Tiny crystals of ammonia and water form in the cold bands near the poles, drifting downward as pale frost, melting long before they reach the deeper layers. They rise again as vapor, a constant cycle of falling, and return a celestial snowfall that never touches ground. Imagine standing in that endless sky, surrounded by storms taller than mountains, watching ammonia flakes drift like ash through the golden light. The horizon would curve away in every direction, and the air itself would shimmer with static. You would hear nothing yet. The silence would vibrate with power, a silence older than sound, made of pressure and electricity. That is Jupiter, a storm that became a world, a balance between fury and grace. And as Juno continues its patient orbit, it reminds us that even in the vastest places, there is pattern and there is peace. Once in the deep hush of 1994, something extraordinary unfolded in the skies of Jupiter. Across the telescopes of Earth, astronomers held their breath, watching a slow celestial collision, a meeting between a wandering comet and the king of planets. The comet was called Shoemaker-Levy 9, a chain of icy fragments, each one the ghost of a single body torn apart by Jupiter's own gravity. Years before, as it passed too close, tidal forces stretched it into pearls of debris, each glowing faintly in the dark. When astronomers discovered it in 1993, they realized the inevitable. The fragments would fall, drawn in by the pull of the giant's heart. In July of the following year, the dance reached its quiet crescendo. Over 6 days, 21 pieces of the comet plunged into Jupiter's southern hemisphere, each one a small world, traveling at more than 200,000 kilometers per hour. One by one, they entered the atmosphere, igniting into fireballs that rose 3,000 kilometers high, brighter than anything the planet had seen in eons. No human eye could watch the first impact directly. It took place on the far side of the planet, hidden from Earth's gaze. But above the dark curve, the spacecraft Galileo watched its sensors trembling as light filled its lenses. A flash, a plume, and then the slow unfolding of heat. A blossom of fire larger than Earth itself. Even the Voyager 2 probe, 44 astronomical units away, felt the faint echo in radio waves. When Jupiter turned again, Earth's telescope saw the scars, dark bruises on the cloud tops, each wider than a continent each, the mark of an impact that released more energy than hundreds of millions of atomic bombs. The scars lingered for months, fading slowly, as the planet's winds carried them away. From destruction came revelation. For the first time, scientists could glimpse the chemistry beneath the clouds. Molecules flung upward by the violence: sulfur, carbon, disulfide, silicon, iron, magnesium, and most surprisingly, traces of water. That fleeting water vapor hinted at deep processes within the planet's hidden layers, an ocean of gas and heat where the simplest element might still find form. The collision was more than spectacle. It was reminder. Jupiter, though vast and serene from afar, is both shield and participant in the ballet of the solar system. Its immense gravity is a net catching wanderers that might otherwise journey inward. Comets, asteroids, debris. Many have found their end in its atmosphere, drawn off the paths that might have crossed Earth's. In this way, Jupiter is both guardian and grave. Some astronomers call it the solar system's protector. Its gravity, sweeping clean the outer regions, deflecting cosmic stones that could have shattered our fragile world. Each captured comet, each consumed asteroid, is a quiet act of protection, a cosmic gesture that keeps our skies calm. But others see it differently. For every object Jupiter deflects, another may be flung inward by that same gravity, hurled toward the inner planets like a slingshot's stone. The universe rarely deals in absolutes. Even in its protection, there is danger. Even in its destruction, there is creation. That is Jupiter's nature, a paradox that sustains balance. In the aftermath of Shoemaker-Levy 9, a new understanding took root. Scientists began to speak of planetary defense, the idea that we could perhaps learn from Jupiter, study the trajectories of comets, map the sky's hidden wanderers, and prepare for what might come. Before that collision, such a concept felt distant, theoretical, like myth. After it, it became necessity. For weeks after the impact, telescopes continued to watch their lenses aimed at the giant's glowing scars. Infrared cameras saw the heat persisting, the planet's atmosphere still trembling with the memory of the strike. Auroras flared brighter, driven by waves of charged particles stirred from the depths. Jupiter was healing its vast clouds, swallowing the darkness, its winds smoothing away the wounds. In time, the marks faded and the world returned to its steady spin. But something in our understanding had changed. We had seen the universe not as still, but alive, capable of sudden violence and delicate repair. We had seen that even chaos has rhythm, and that destruction too can be beautiful. The fragments of Shoemaker-Levy 9 are gone now, their dust scattered through Jupiter's upper air, their energy dissolved into the planet's endless storms. Yet their story remains woven into the soft hum of the giant's rotation, a memory of collision and mercy, of gravity's embrace and release. And if one were to stand at the edge of Jupiter's shadow, looking out toward the faint sun, perhaps they would feel it, that sense of vastness made tender of power, made patient. The same planet that devoured a comet is the one that steadies Earth's fragile orbit. It reminds us that in every great force there is purpose, and in every storm there is silence. Long before Juno, before infrared eyes and digital hearts, there were simpler messengers. Tiny silver voyagers launched from a blue world to learn the secrets of a giant. Each of them carried more than instruments. They carried wonder. In 1973, the spacecraft Pioneer 10 became the first to cross the asteroid belt, a fragile spark of metal drifting toward the unknown. It reached Jupiter in December that year, and in its approach, humanity saw for the first time the true scale of the planet's storms. Through its instruments, scientists measured radiation so fierce that it nearly silenced the probe. Signals came back faint, but clear enough to say the giant is alive. Pioneer 11 followed a year later, sweeping past the North Pole and revealing the first images of the great red spot from above. It was not a perfect circle, but an ocean of motion, a labyrinth of currents folded into itself. These first glimpses began a story that would take decades to unfold. Then came Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, twin travelers launched in 1977, destined to journey beyond the edge of sunlight. When they reached Jupiter 2 years later, their cameras captured colors no eye had ever seen: clouds like brushed silk amber and cream frost blue and honey gold. The planet's bands moved like tides of air, each swirl revealing depth and texture. For the first time, we saw lightning in its clouds, auroras at its poles, and moons alive with drama. Voyager watched Io and discovered volcanoes, hundreds of them, erupting even as the probe flew by. Liquid sulfur fountains arched into the thin sky, raining back as golden snow. It was the first active volcano seen beyond Earth, proof that the solar system was not silent, but restless. Voyager turned its gaze to Europa, finding a smooth white shell cracked like glass over frozen seas. And beyond that, Ganymede with its grooved plains and magnetic whispers, and Callisto, a mosaic of craters and calm. Each moon became a world unto itself, a note in Jupiter's quiet symphony. From those images came humility. When the voyagers turned back for one last look, they caught Earth in the same frame, a pale blue spark beside the golden storm. Carl Sagan later called it a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Jupiter had shown us beauty, but it had also shown us scale. In 1989, another traveler rose from Earth, the Galileo spacecraft named for the man who first turned a telescope toward the planet. It took 6 years to arrive. When it did, it became the first to stay. Orbit after orbit, it watched Jupiter and its moons as no one ever had before. Galileo carried a probe, a small capsule built to fall. In December 1995, it descended into the clouds, sinking for 57 minutes before the weight of the atmosphere crushed it. But in that final hour, it sent home stories. Winds that roared at 600 kilometers an hour, lightning 20 times stronger than Earth's temperatures, soaring past 400 degrees Celsius, and pressure great enough to crush steel into silence. It measured layers of ammonia and water and revealed a world more dynamic than anyone had dared to imagine. The orbiter itself lingered 8 more years, watching Io's volcanoes flicker through shadow, studying Europa's ice and Ganymede's magnetic hum. It showed us that beneath those frozen shells lie vast oceans, liquid salted and possibly alive. When its mission ended, Galileo was sent into Jupiter's clouds, a final descent to prevent it from ever touching and contaminating those fragile moons. It burned quietly, becoming part of the world it had revealed. Other travelers passed by after that. Cassini, on its way to Saturn, paused to capture Jupiter's light in higher detail, its colors soft and painterly. New horizons, speeding toward Pluto, swung past the planet in 2007, borrowing gravity for one last push outward. Each mission looked learned and left Jupiter more mysterious than before. Then in 2016 came Juno, the listener, the watcher of whispers. It does not carry a camera for beauty alone, but for understanding. It senses magnetism and sound gravity as pulse and radiation as breath. Its eyes see. Microwave and infrared, its instruments feel the faint tug of density, changes the rise and fall of storms beneath the clouds. From those sensations, we have learned to imagine the invisible, to sense the giant, not through sight, but through vibration. Juno's orbit carries it close, so close that it skims the tops of the highest clouds, then flings far out into the cold, each loop a heartbeat, 53 days long. Each time it passes, it sends home a little more knowledge, a little more wonder. We have seen the blue storms of the poles, the white tempests stacked like columns of smoke, the soft glow of lightning flashing deep in the night side. We have mapped the gravity field, discovered the diffuse, swollen core, and found that Jupiter's heart is less a solid object and more a flowing memory. Through Juno's ears, we even hear the planet's voice, radio waves translated into sound, a low, trembling hum, rising and falling like breath. It is not music, but it feels like it. It is the sound of motion made eternal. Each image Juno sends home is both a map and a painting. Bands of clouds, twisting like brushstrokes, storm eyes glowing like pearls, auroras winding like silk around the poles. They are the planet's dreams, and we are privileged to witness them. Someday, when Juno's time ends, it will meet the same fate as Galileo, a descent into the very world it studied, a final merging of observer and observed. It will fall in silence, burning not in tragedy, but in completion. Its work finished, its memory carried home in the data it left behind. And yet, even when the last transmission fades, the story will not end. Every image, every field line, every discovery it sent will continue to ripple outward through scientists, through artists, through the quiet minds who listen at night. Jupiter will go on spinning, and we will go on wondering, far beyond the beauty of its clouds, beyond the hum of its magnetism, and the patience of its moons. Jupiter serves another purpose, one both ancient and silent. It is not only the largest planet, it is the solar system's guardian. For billions of years, its immense gravity has shaped the music of the outer worlds. Its invisible hand sculpting orbits, guiding comets, and sweeping the paths between planets. While the inner worlds, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, move delicately around the Sun, it is Jupiter that stands watch at the edge, absorbing chaos before it can reach them. The story of Shoemaker Levy 9 was not an exception, but a reminder of this quiet duty. Again and again, Jupiter's gravity pulls wandering objects inward, icy comets from the dark. Beyond Neptune, asteroids, adrift between Mars and itself, rocks left over from the solar system's birth. Many collide with Jupiter, vanishing in silence beneath its clouds. Others are caught, their orbits altered, redirected away from the fragile inner system. In this way, Jupiter is both shield and sculptor, guardian and gardener. Without it, Earth's skies might have been struck again and again by ancient stones and frozen fire. Life as we know it might have struggled to begin or never endured. Instead, Jupiter's gravity acts as a vast filter, a slow, patient caretaker of possibility. But this protection is not perfect. For every comet, it captures another. It may fling inward a cosmic slingshot, sending icy fragments toward the Sun and its children. Even in its watchfulness, Jupiter reminds us that balance and danger often share the same breath. The universe keeps its harmony not through safety, but through motion, through the endless exchange of what is caught and what is released. In this dance, Jupiter plays its part perfectly. Its pull stabilizes the orbits of other planets, its rhythm anchoring the solar system's grace. If it were smaller, The architecture of the skies would shift, and Earth's path might wobble in dangerous arcs around the sun. If it were larger, it might have stolen the Earth itself, drawing it from its gentle course. But as it is, the balance holds the giant exactly vast enough to guard, but not so vast as to consume. This equilibrium feels deliberate, though. We know it is not. It is simply nature's long patience, gravity, finding comfort in itself. Still, it is hard not to feel gratitude. The same force that flings comets into oblivion is the force that lets our oceans stay calm, our atmosphere remain gentle, our nights quiet enough for dreaming. Some astronomers call Jupiter the cosmic vacuum cleaner, a phrase too small for what it truly is. It does not simply clean. It orchestrates. It holds the solar system together in a slow gravitational embrace, not static, but breathing, allowing everything smaller to move freely within. It is both order and motion, both protection and storm. Every so often, Earth's telescopes catch new impacts on Jupiter. Small flashes of light that last only seconds. Each one is a tiny reminder of what might have been a comet or asteroid that never reached us. They leave faint bruises on the planet's face, then vanish into the endless circulation of its winds. Jupiter absorbs them all, its clouds erasing evidence, its heart remaining calm. If we could stand on a moon and watch one of these impacts, it would not be violent, only a pulse of brightness, a silent flare against the horizon. And afterward, the storm would close again, folding over the scar as though nothing had happened. Even its collisions are graceful. In this way, Jupiter teaches us about the paradox of strength. True strength does not dominate. It steadies. It holds the fragile without breaking it. It protects without needing to be seen. And so the giant continues to turn its bands, gliding endlessly, its heart humming beneath invisible layers. It neither boasts nor rests. It simply is. When sunlight strikes its upper clouds, the reflection carries that serenity across space. We see Jupiter shining in our night sky, a steady golden light that does not flicker. It has become a symbol of reliability, the one planet that never seems to waver. Ancient cultures noticed this too, that Jupiter rose and set with unwavering rhythm. They called it the bringer of joy, the star of kings, the great benefic. Even before science, they could feel what it was, a presence of calm power. That instinct remains in us still. When we gaze at Jupiter through a telescope or glimpse it low on the horizon, a soft awareness rises, a sense that something vast and protective watches quietly over us. It is not superstition, it is connection, an old memory carried in the atoms of our being. For we are made from the same dust that Jupiter once gathered, the same elements it keeps stirring in its endless storms. And so, even as it guards, it reminds us we belong to this system, to this balance, to this unending conversation between light and gravity. We are part of the same motion that began long before we opened our eyes and will continue long after we sleep. When we look toward Jupiter, we are not only looking outward, we are looking back into the mirror of our own longing to understand. For centuries, that pale beacon in the sky has been both destination and question. Every lens we've pointed toward it, every mission we've launched, has carried the same quiet prayer to see more clearly, to know what waits within the silence. The first astronomers saw it as perfection, a steady light among wandering stars. Then Galileo lifted his small telescope, and that light broke apart into moons. 4 tiny sparks moving in unison, orbiting a body vast beyond measure. It was the first proof that not everything revolved around us. In that revelation, the universe became larger and the human heart humbler. Those 4 moons, Io Europa, Ganymede Callisto, became our first lesson in cosmic perspective. Through their dance, we learned that gravity is not command, but relationship. That even the mighty are held in orbit by something greater than themselves. In the centuries that followed, our eyes sharpened, our questions grew gentler. Each telescope improved. Each image brought Jupiter closer until it no longer seemed a distant deity, but a real, restless world. A place where storms age and fade, where colors breathe and change, where balance and chaos are one. In this way, Jupiter has been teaching us without words. It has shown that beauty is not stillness, that calm can live inside movement, that harmony can emerge from turbulence. Its clouds are like our thoughts, endlessly shifting, yet forming patterns we can feel but never fully explain. When spacecraft began to arrive, they carried not only instruments, but emotion. Each one was a fragment of our curiosity set free into the dark. Pioneer, Voyager, Galileo, Juno. Each name now part of a quiet mythology of our own making. Through their eyes, we saw the planet's face. Through their sensors, we heard its pulse. And through that discovery, we recognized something deeply familiar. Motion guided by unseen order power, softened by rhythm. Juno especially has taught us to listen differently. Its recordings of Jupiter's magnetic fields have been turned into sound, a long echoing vibration that rises and falls like a living breath. When played aloud, it does not sound mechanical. It sounds human, as if a distant choir were humming beneath the surface of the sky. It is the sound of balance translated from magnetism into meaning. And perhaps that is what science truly is, not the cold decoding of facts, but the soft translation of wonder into understanding. Every equation, every measurement is just a slower way of saying awe. Jupiter helps us remember that the planet does not need to speak to us. Its language is already perfect color and light, gravity and time. But still, we listen. We build instruments delicate enough to sense the faint flicker of an aurora, the tiny wobble of a moon's orbit, the whisper of electrons dancing across invisible lines of force. We do this because we want to know, but also because knowing feels like connection. Each discovery about Jupiter is in truth a discovery about ourselves. When we measure its storms, we glimpse the endurance of chaos. When we trace its magnetic field, we learn the geometry of strength. When we study its moons, we recognize the pull of companionship, how even the most solitary giant is surrounded by those who orbit close, drawn not by command, but by love disguised as gravity. In the quiet of a laboratory, scientists watch screens fill with color lines of data unfolding like music. Some stay through the night, not because they must, but because something in that swirling planet feels like home. Perhaps it is the rhythm of rotation, 10 hours long, steady as a heartbeat. Perhaps it is the light of the auroras, the glow of storms that never sleep. Or perhaps it is simply that Jupiter reminds us how to wonder without needing answers. On clear nights, you can see it with the naked eye, a soft gold star, brighter than any other. When you find it, pause. The light touching your eyes has crossed nearly 800 million kilometers of darkness. It left the sun, touched Jupiter's clouds, and continued its long journey through space only to arrive here quietly, without fanfare in this single sleeping moment. That light is old, older than the day that caught it, older than our questions. And yet, it feels personal, as if the universe had whispered it directly into your night. Somewhere inside you, the same elements are stirred hydrogen and helium, carbon and nitrogen, the building blocks of stars and storms alike. We are not observers of Jupiter. We are its kin, made of the same dust, shaped by the same gravity, lit by the same sun. And perhaps that is why when we watch it through a telescope or through the soft lens of imagination, we feel calm. Because Jupiter reminds us of balance, how even the wildest forces can find rhythm, how even the vastest silence can sing. It is not just a planet. It is a meditation made of motion. Long before the language of science took shape, long before telescopes and equations and spacecraft, people still looked up at the same golden light. They did not yet know its storms or its moons, but they felt its rhythm, the slow, certain way it crossed the night. They called it divine. To the Babylonians, it was Marduk, the champion of order who defeated chaos. To the Greeks, Zeus, Lord of thunder and law, his hand raised to keep the heavens in harmony. To the Romans, Jove Jupiter, the father of gods and men. Across time and culture, it was the same presence seen through different dreams. Every civilization that named it seemed to sense the same truth, that it was not merely bright, but benevolent. It rose higher than Mars, shone steadier than Venus, and never failed to appear when the seasons turned. They believed it guided the order of things, the growth of crops, the fates of kings, the weather of hearts. Even the name Jupiter carries a kind of calm. It comes from the old words for light and father joined into one, the father of light. Perhaps not so different from what it really is, a planet born of sunlight, shaping the lives that orbit within its reach. The myths said Jupiter ruled the sky with thunder, and in a way, he still does. Lightning still bursts across his clouds, forking silently through the ammonia haze. Storms still roll in endless procession, carved by winds strong enough to sculpt worlds. The ancients were not wrong. They simply spoke in metaphor for what we now describe as physics. Thunder was just another name for energy. Divinity was their word for wonder. Across the centuries, artists and thinkers have continued to see Jupiter as a symbol of generosity and wisdom. In astrology, it became the planet of expansion of luck and knowledge of trust in the unfolding of time. Its slow orbit around the sun, 12 Earth years, became a measure of life's great cycles. Even now, when the modern sky seems stripped of myth, people still speak of Jupiter years as a way to mark the quiet growth of the soul. In China, it was called Sui Xing, the year star. Each of its 12 steps across the zodiac gave rhythm to calendars and harvests, a silent keeper of time. In India, it was Guru, the celestial teacher, the one who brings understanding through patience. And in the temples of the Mayans, it was carved beside Venus and Mars, part of the celestial mathematics that measured not only stars but meaning. Wherever people looked up, they found in Jupiter a teacher, steady-wise, a counterpoint to the chaos of daily life. Perhaps it is because its motion is slow, its glow constant. It does not flicker like a star. It does not change color or vanish suddenly. It is always there, rising and setting in silence. That consistency felt holy. Even today, in our age of restless light, Jupiter's calm remains medicine for the eyes. Science has not undone those stories. It has only given them new language. When we speak now of gravity and magnetism, we are still speaking of unseen forces, the same invisible threads that ancient storytellers called will and spirit. When we describe lightning born in clouds of ammonia and ice, we are still describing the same celestial fire that once inspired the myth of Zeus's bolts. The difference is only in the distance of our gaze. And perhaps if those ancient astronomers could see the images we have captured now, the auroras dancing in blue fire over the poles, the red and gold bands flowing like rivers of silk, the moons glowing like soft lanterns in the planet's shadow, they would not feel their stories disproven. They would feel them confirmed. For what is a god if not a symbol of the power that creates beauty from chaos and order from storm? In every myth, Jupiter's strength is not cruelty, but balance. He strikes to preserve harmony, not to destroy it. Even now, the planet itself embodies that truth-absorbing comets, deflecting asteroids, shaping orbits with gentle precision. Its gravity is both shield and invitation. It does not command, it harmonizes. The ancient poets called him Optimus Maximus, the best and the greatest. Perhaps they were naming not superiority, but serenity. The greatness of Jupiter is not in dominance, but in its endurance. It has spun in silence for billions of years, holding its storms, its moons, its balance without pause. In that patience, there is majesty, and through all this time, it has never ceased to shine a reminder, night after night, that even the vastest forces can be gentle, and even the oldest stories can still be true. We may no longer offer prayers to the sky, but perhaps when we lift our gaze to that quiet golden glow, something inside us still bows, not in worship, but in recognition that we and Jupiter are part of the same story told in different voices by the same universe. Now, the long orbit of our story comes to rest, and Jupiter turns slowly beneath us, a world of light and motion, still breathing in the dark. It has carried us from myth to magnetism, from the fire of comets to the hum of auroras, from the voices of machines to the silence of stars. And yet, after all, our knowing the planet remains what it always was, a mystery shaped by rhythm. There is something almost human in its endless turning a heart that never stops a pulse too vast to measure. It spins faster than any world its size should, as if eager to remain alive. Every 10 hours, a new day dawns on the golden clouds, and the great red storm glides slowly past, ancient and unhurried. Time itself seems to move differently there, not in hours or centuries, but in motion, motion that never truly ends. If we could listen close enough, perhaps we would hear its rotation as sound a low rolling chord deeper than the ocean, richer than thunder. It would not be music we could hum, but one we could feel vibrating gently through the chest, reminding us that balance too can sing. For everything about Jupiter is music. The storms are percussion, the winds are strings. The magnetosphere hums like a distant choir. The moons circle in tempo, each in resonance with the next, their orbits forming invisible harmonies. Ganymede's pull aligns with Europa's with Eo's, each tug a note in a gravitational symphony. It is the universe performing its oldest song, the music of balance. Even the chaos of its storms is written in rhythm. They rise, merge, fade patterns within patterns, as if some unseen hand were conducting the dance. No sound breaks the stillness, yet everything moves. In Jupiter's sky, motion and silence are one. Perhaps this is why we find peace in watching it. To see something so immense move so gracefully is to remember that chaos and calm never far apart. We are made of the same forces, the same hydrogen, the same light, the same desire to move and to rest. Within our chests, small hearts echo that planetary rhythm, beating in quiet orbits of their own. Jupiter reminds us that power need not be loud. Its gravity shapes worlds, its storms sculpt time, and yet it never boasts. It turns simply endlessly content to exist as harmony made visible. It is not a god nor a machine, but something between a balance of energy and elegance of fire and patience. When the night is clear and Jupiter rises, its light crosses nearly 800 million kilometers. Before it reaches us, it passes dust ice and the echoes of old comets, and still it arrives intact, gentle gold, unwavering. That single gleam carries every story you've heard tonight, every storm, every moon, every breath of wind across an ocean of gas. It is all contained in that light, and when it touches your eyes, you are for an instant part of it. Perhaps that is the quiet secret of the universe, that we are never only observers. Every act of looking is also belonging. Every gaze we lift toward the stars is the cosmos remembering itself. And so Jupiter keeps turning softly, endlessly, as we drift within the same grand circle. Its storms breathe, its auroras shimmer, its moons continue their patient waltz through shadow and light. Around the sun, we all move together, giant and small, glorious and fragile, each held in place by the same invisible thread. One day, the great red spot will fade. Its winds will quiet, its color will soften into gold. The clouds will smooth over, and the memory of the storm will pass into the deeper layers below. But Jupiter will go on unchanged in its essence, a teacher of balance, a keeper of motion, a reminder that even the fiercest forces can serve peace. And when that day comes, when the last storm dissolves into calm, perhaps somewhere on a small blue world, someone will look up at the same golden glow and feel what we feel. Now that gentle, wordless knowing that the universe is vast but not cold, powerful but kind. Jupiter's quiet majesty will remain not as thunder, but as memory, not as command, but as calm. And we, its tiny listeners, will keep dreaming beneath its light, breathing in time with its endless turn.